Well, hello, I'm Noah Finns with Vantage SportsNet. Thanks for watching Featuring Connecticut. It's a collection of stories featuring interesting athletes, coaches, and programs in the state because here at Vantage SportsNet, it's all Connecticut sports all the time. Season long over for the Bunnell High School boys lacrosse team, but the fellas will have some great memories, especially how and when the season started, at the very moment the rules allowed. There's not typically anyone on this field at this time. It's Friday night, a little before midnight at Bunnell High School. But slowly the lights are coming on. The Bulldogs are so excited to start practice, so excited that they want to be out there as soon as they legally can. March 17th was the first day allowed, so at 12:01 in the morning, March 17th, here they are.
We first brought this up, there was a little bit of, we're doing what? And I don't think they believed it initially, but then what happened is as we started going forward, they were getting more and more excited. And I think this is the first time they've been here 45 minutes before our practice started, so it showed some excitement and enthusiasm about it.
Go, gentlemen!
To anyone not preparing for this anticipated season, the cold weather was as uncomfortable as the time. But not for these guys.
Outside to outside!
Once we start running around, we're straight.
The parents were definitely surprised. My mom was surprised. She thought I was kidding about it at first, but I was like, no, we're really having a 12 o'clock practice.
We didn't know that we would actually get the administration's approval on this, but they were great. Dr. Dowling, the principal here, is fantastic. Wayne Thrall, the AD, helped us out. So we figured we'd have some fun, start the season off, and get these kids on the field right away.
In addition to an early jump on the season, the Bulldogs hope to develop some team bonding over this unique experience. And think about it. Nothing says we're going to take this season seriously like showing up for practice on a 20-degree Friday night at midnight.
We got to get them tough and hard right away.
This is more like bonding. Everyone comes out here, hangs out, not as much stick work and stuff, but more of growing the team together.
Even in the locker room, we were all starting to get back together from last year. Some of us played summer together, some of us played a few tournaments together before this, and everyone really came back together and it felt like a team already.
So choke it up if you have to. Get used to the pole.
Something that you're going to talk about all season long, you're going to point back to. We already had some other teams reach out to us and say, hey, what a great idea it was. So I think from our perspective, it was just trying to get these guys together early, make it a little fun, and then off to work for the rest of the season.
And who knows, maybe it'll catch on with some of the other sports. Midnight Madness used to be a basketball thing, but why not lacrosse? Why not any sport? It was a huge surprise and an even bigger disappointment to the men on the Central Connecticut State golf team when they found out their program was being cut, that if they wanted to continue playing collegiate golf, they'd have to go somewhere else. Well, they responded by winning their league and qualifying for the national championship tournament. Mark Robbins has the story.
The practice range routine doesn't change much for the Blue Devils. The Northeast Conference champs are just doing their thing, putting in the hours of preparation needed for the NCAA Regional in Kissimmee, Florida. But while the day-to-day grind remains the same, the distractions have been swirling since January, when the school announced it was dropping men's and women's golf, reducing athletic scholarships, all in an effort to save money. Those in the men's program were shocked, devastated, and still to this day, somewhat unable to hide their disappointment.
At first, I was pretty infuriated with the decision, but when it comes down to it, you just got to learn that they don't really care about us anymore, and we just got to be here for each other and our alumni that have been with us.
There was so much uncertainty that stemmed from it, especially the underclassmen not knowing where they're going to go to school next year, and a lot of them, they want to pursue, golf in college, and for them to kind of just blindside us like that at that time, there's a lot of anger.
It's a shame because the program had a lot of potential with Coach, as head coach. I was blessed for him to be my coach.
But credit this team with an inner resolve, a strength to ignore the inevitable and go out and achieve a preseason goal, winning the NEC and reaching the NCAA tournament, something it hadn't accomplished in more than a decade.
I was kind of blown away. I still can't put words to describe how I feel about it. It's just, I told everybody on my team, it's like I was on cloud nine with everything that we endured the last 4 years. To be sitting there and watching a selection show on Golf Channel and even being featured on Golf Channel is unbelievable.
We all have a lot of potential. We all have showed really good rounds in the previous. We've all gone low, so it's just a matter of really letting it all fall at one time.
This group, to a man, believes its chemistry is a main factor for the success they've had on the course. The intangibles have combined with the noticeable talent third-year head coach Kyle Gallo has amassed. Anthony Sebastianelli is the conference player of the year, and he leads a strong returning core. And arguably, last year's top recruiting class in the Northeast has helped put Central into the national spotlight for its play and for the unfortunate cutting of the program, leaving many players in a lurch. The surprise move in the middle of the winter didn't leave kids enough time to find a new home for next season.
For me, it did. I didn't have a super strong spring to go right into talking to coaches. I wanted to finish the season off strong, then talk to coaches during the summer. And I have a very extensive schedule in the summer. So hopefully I can play well in the summer, and then that'll contribute to me finding my new college.
Winning a title in the midst of dismantling a program is certainly something to be proud of. And these players that comprise the program are deeply invested in CCSU and the spirit of Blue Devil athletics. They feel they've been let down by their school, the adults who run it, not their fellow students, present and past. So with that fresh collegiate view of life, they carry on.
It sucks knowing that we're not coming back, but when it comes down to it, we started the season, we're winning conference, and nothing was going to get in the way of that.
I think it's the best thing that ever happened to myself. I think it's the best thing that ever happened to these kids. Whatever's going on with CCSU athletics, that'll be ironed out in the future. I think, from my personal opinion, I think there's more coming. I'm glad we were just able to get it out of the way right now. And while the kids are still young and they're still early on in the academic process, they're going to find homes and be able to finish out their careers.
It wasn't long ago that Yale wasn't in the conversation of top college crew programs in the country. Well, since the arrival of one of these sports great coaches, that's all changed. Now, you'd have to say Yale is not just in the conversation. The Bulldogs are the dominant team in the country. A victory over Harvard, an appropriate end to the season. In fact, anything less would have been devastating for the Yale oarsmen, rowers who have been integral in creating the kind of success Yale crew hasn't seen since the early 20s.
You live in the moment, so the thinking about it from an historic standpoint, is just something that hasn't crossed my mind. This particular point in time, it's the next race, it's the next class, it's the next practice.
Chest out, shoulders through.
Prior to the arrival of Coach Steve Gladstone in 2010, Yale was not regarded as a national power. The program was struggling. Gladstone has a history of turning programs around, and it didn't take long for the Bulldogs to go from a fledgling team to a national power. He immediately set about bringing in athletes who are fully committed, or as he calls it, are all in and come with full measure.
Both sides of the boat.
You have to understand that the winning and losing doesn't take place during the racing season. The winning and the losing is taking place in practice.
Top oarsmen from around the globe were familiar with Gladstone's resume and wanted to be part of a Yale crew renaissance.
I came to Yale thinking that that's what the coaches promised, and that's what I promised the coaches. It was a mutual agreement, and just kind of got the job done. I'm so happy it turned out that way, but it's what we wanted.
Paul Jacquot, this year's team captain, along with Sholto Carnegie, are seniors on the team who have helped change the Yale culture, who expect to win every race, and well, they nearly have. In their 4 years, they have never lost to Harvard, won 4 straight sprint championships, and 2 national championships.
It's sort of what's happened before with Steve Gladstone's programs, and that's why we committed. We were part of a project to build the team, and that's in the process of happening, and it's going to continue to happen for many years. And it's been a pleasure to be part of, but we always want more.
These are people that are really setting an example by what they do. They're also, at the appropriate times, making the right observations and making the right comments. So it's huge. It's huge. You can't have speed and you can't win championships without that kind of extraordinary leadership.
You can't just blame or thank one or two individuals. It's just it's a mentality that trickled down from the classes just above us. The 2 to 3 classes that had been recruited before us were already had that state of mind of turning the program around and winning. We built off the platform 2 classes before us had started setting up for us.
It is Yale University from the East Coast, from Connecticut, that take a famous victory over...
Senior Cole Tilden has been part of the team the last 4 years, but just completed his first year on the varsity 8. He too can attest to the culture that is now pervasive through this Yale program.
This team does a great job, I believe, of not focusing too much on the individual, but as a collective of the team. And I take so much pride in that, but it's not necessarily me as a 6th seed in the varsity. It's me as a member of this incredible organization and team, and all under Steve doing the same thing.
And while the seniors may be moving on, they will always take pride in what they and this program accomplished over the last 4 years, and they expect will continue in their absence.
Oh yeah, it better not change.
A high school softball player struggles through serious health issues to return to the field of play. We'll have this story and more coming up next here on Featuring Connecticut. Welcome back to Featuring Connecticut. I'm Noah Finns. Well, after setting the scoring career record at Fairfield University, Tyler Nelson is looking on to a professional career, but apparently not too busy to return to his alma mater. Mark Robbins has the story.
Back in the gym, back to the place he pushed himself toward achieving goals and dreams. It's been less than a year, but that doesn't make it any less meaningful for now former Fairfield great Tyler Nelson to speak to young campers about his experiences and achievements.
Don't let anyone tell you can't do something, and always work hard. When I was younger, I never thought I'd be able to have the career I did. I just kind of worked hard, stayed humble, and things worked out for me. So looking back, if the best advice I could give someone that was younger, middle school kid trying to play high school basketball, that would be the advice I'd give him.
Tyler is from the Boston area, not the most heralded recruit, say, in the world, and yet he's the all-time leading scorer. All right, he stuck to a simple formula of really getting better, working really hard, and being a world-class person. And I think if that's not a compelling message, for campers, they look up to the Kevin Durant's, the LeBron Jameses. They can also look up to a Tyler Nelson.
Tyler's on a professional path now, searching for the best option that will allow him to play for pay, making life affordable while he continues his passion. The Stags' all-time leading scorer is looking at opportunities in Europe and in the NBA Developmental League. The options are diverse, with a lot of elements to consider.
Both sides, there's pros and cons, just kind of like any decision you make. So, just trying to make sure I make the right decision and put myself in the best situation possible.
Professional scouts have been impressed with Tyler's development throughout college. Once just a sharpshooter, his overall game has expanded over 4 seasons, indicating a lot of talent and the desire to cultivate.
Phenomenal shooter, great IQ, incredibly coachable, great teammate. I think there's a place for him.
Everyone kind of says the same thing, I know how to play basketball, I can make shots, talented, stuff like that. It's just a matter of getting bigger and more mature and more developed, and that's something I'm working on right now so I can compete with those guys.
Tyler's choice for his first pro experience will come shortly. After that, he'll put his work ethic to good use with the hopes of improving his skills.
Going through this process the past couple months, trying to prove myself over again has been really rewarding, but a lot of fun at the same time.
Who knows? With Tyler's dedication and talent, he just might be able to direct his road to success, to take a few turns through the NBA.
You don't always have to be the biggest or strongest to be the best. When Yale swimmer Kei Hyogo dives into the pool, he does so knowing nobody has or will outwork him. It's winter break for the Yale swim team. Workouts are optional, but there's no break for Kei Hyogo. In his world, letting up is never an option.
I've been coaching for 26 years, and every once in a while I run across someone that just outworks everyone. And Kei is just that kind of athlete. Everything he does is all out.
I believe that every single yard or every single minute in the pool counts. And it's accumulation of all that that really leads to a groundbreaking performance or a performance that I can truly be satisfied in.
Hyogo from Yokohama, Japan is going to win the 1,000 freestyle, 8:49.45. That is a new championship record.
Hyogo owns 6 school records, is an All-American, and an Ivy League champ in the 500 freestyle, 1,000, 400 individual medley, and the mile.
Junior from Yale, Hyogo.
It's such a beautiful sport in the sense that it's such a balance of mental and physical aspects of the human body. Whatever you don't have, you can compensate for by the other.
And some may say Hyogo lacks in the physical gift.
I'm not the strongest nor the tallest guy in the pool, but again, that's not what sports is about. I think sports, if I had to put it in a very simple way, it's probably 50% physical and the other 50% is mental. The fact that you can actually put in the hard work and not, yield to pain, that sort of thing is also a talent in itself. And I think that's something that I have to a certain extent, and that's something I'm proud of.
Hyogo credits his parents for teaching him there's only one way to attack challenges, whether it's in the pool or anywhere else. Absolutely everything you have. He also says his work ethic and ability to endure strenuous workouts may be a product of his Japanese culture and what he calls the samurai spirit.
What sets them apart from the rest, though, is their work ethic, their ability to put their head down and just go through pain.
It's why his workouts are always more difficult than the rest of the team.
We have to modify our distance program in order to get him to get a challenge. If they're doing hundreds on a minute, make his on 55, and it makes it a whole lot harder. So there's always little tweaks to K's practice. There's the regular distance practice, and then there's a little asterisk where K's involved.
It's not an unreasonable goal to shoot for the Olympics, I guess.
Which could create a dilemma. Hyogo has already been offered a good job at a financial firm in Tokyo thanks to his impressive work during his recent internship. But he's also been in touch with the Japanese national swim team coaches about a spot on the team. He wouldn't be able to accept both positions.
It's been a struggle to sort of make a hard decision on that, and it's a decision I still haven't made.
And he won't make a decision until the season ends. Until then, he says, he'll continue to outwork his competition, set an example for his younger teammates, and improve on times that are already the fastest in Yale's swimming history.
When it comes down to it, it's really the will or the want. It's the it factor, and he has it. So don't look at size. Just know that he's coming, and he's never going to quit.
Oh, what a great comeback story. Marissa Walker from Waterford battled cancer and everything that comes with it, starting from when she was 9 years old. She never lost sight of her goal to return to the softball field, and, well, that's where she is now. Our Daniel Zampano put together this story on the National Federation of High School Spirit of Sports Award winner.
It goes right to here, but it carries up all the way to right here. My name is Marissa Walker. I'm a senior at Waterford High School, and I am a captain on the Waterford High School softball team. When I was 9 years old, I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a rare type of bone cancer in my left leg. I endured 28 weeks of chemotherapy, and I had a major surgery in April of 2009 where they replaced my knee and femur with an expandable prosthetic. In 6th grade, I had it replaced. 8th grade, I had 2 surgeries sophomore year, and I had some over this past summer, just some minor operations, and I had a recent major surgery this past January.
Come, Russ!
It was absolutely devastating to hear that news that she had cancer, and obviously having cancer run in our family. My older brother passed away at the age of 11. I was just 6 years old, and knowing what he went through, my parents went through, was absolutely awful to think that this was happening to my niece and my brother's daughter, and he was certainly really beside himself when he heard the news.
It's all right. Better to miss there.
That's it, Allison.
So I won the NFHS Spirit of Sport Award for the nation, and in addition to being captain, I think it shows great leadership in teaching the freshmen, the sophomores, and even the juniors that you can't give up.
I think that Marissa, very strong-willed kid, but this certainly changed her and changed us, and we really circled around her and wanted to make sure she was going to get through this, and we were going to do anything possible to get through it with her.
I think at the time I was just so unaware of what was really going on. Personally for me, I think I just knew that I had to do what I had to do. Softball was the one thing that I was able to carry over after I was sick and after all the surgeries. It was the one thing that was consistent. So I grew up around baseball and softball, and it was just it's still very comfortable to me. So I think that's why I am in love with the sport.
It's an amazing story just to begin with, to think that she's out here playing softball today and to be able to bounce back like that 5 times in a row, and not to mention the 26th lengthening she had to go in for, which required anesthesia and PT and so forth over this 9-year period. But she's got a grit and a determination about her, and an intensity to perform and to prove to herself, and maybe to prove to others that she's not done.
Winning this award kind of proved something to myself, like for myself, because I kind of underestimate everything that I went through. But I want people to look at me and say, she did it. I think that's pretty cool.
We have to take a commercial break, but when Featuring Connecticut returns, how is it that one college delivered nearly 10% of all the players drafted in one pro sports league? We'll be right back. Welcome back to Featuring Connecticut. 6 seniors on the Yale Lacrosse team gathered over some pizza to watch the Major League Lacrosse draft. Gather to watch and support their teammates. Little did they know they'd all, every one of them, be drafted. It's only been done 3 other times. 6 players from one school drafted into Major League Lacrosse.
It's 6 out of, I think, 63 picks, so it's almost 10% of all the kids drafted.
Ben Reeves in the first round to Dallas. Tyler Warner to Florida in the second. Chris Keating to Dallas in the third. Jason Alessi to Charlotte, and Connor Mackey to New York, both in the 5th round. And Jerry O'Connor in the 7th round to Florida.
When I got the news, it was, just complete shock, and specifically, given it was the Florida launch, which is where I'm from, it was kind of a special moment, to be honest.
That night was crazy. I knew we would have some guys. I didn't expect 6, maybe. That was pretty awesome.
Warner and O'Connor were drafted by the same team, the Florida launch.
I'm actually looking forward to, staying at his house. Hopefully Mrs. O'Connor cooks a nice meal the day before games.
Reeves and Keating will also get a chance to play professionally together, both drafted by the Dallas Rattlers.
Ben and I hopefully are going to be flying together and everything, so it's going to be a lot of fun to play against, play with each other again, and I'm excited to not have to cover him in a real game.
The 6 of them were all gathered together at a pizza joint watching the draft on a live stream. Sure, they knew Ben Reeves, the 2-time All-American, would have his name called, but they say to have all their names called was something special, especially while they were all together.
I mean, that's incredible. I think those guys, they worked very hard in their 4 years. They didn't come in with all the accolades in the world, and I think that's a credit to how hard they work, and for them to pull that off, it's really impressive.
It's something Alessi could have never imagined a few years ago, especially considering he came to Yale as a football player.
It's the last thing that I would have ever expected as a freshman here. 1, not playing lacrosse, and then 2, still playing lacrosse after I graduate. If anything, it would have been football at that point, but yeah, so it's cool just to kind of extend my athletic playing career.
The Bulldogs also end up winning all the major Ivy League awards. Chris Fake named the League Rookie of the Year, Reeves the Player of the Year, and Andy Shea, who obviously has a great eye for talent, named the Coach of the Year for the 2nd straight season.
He's had an eye for talent, but I think he also recruits the kind of guys that he wants. He's been awesome, and obviously he's built this program from the ground up. I know before he got here, there were some tough years for Yale Lacrosse.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Shea is absolutely incredible. I mean, I know he changed my life, and he changed the lives of pretty much every single guy out here, and we cannot thank him enough. He's done so much for this program and for every guy out here that it's incredible.
The awards were received and the draft completed, but the season is still not over. And as much as the players enjoyed the excitement, they were quick to refocus on what's left to be done on the field.
It was kind of fun when it happened, but then we really just immediately turned the page and kind of focus on the stuff that we're trying to do as a team this year.
I think that our guys, to their credit, would not they wouldn't look at the individual awards. But it's definitely a positive. Hopefully it's not the last thing we hear about that's positive for our team this year.
Well, that's going to do it for Featuring Connecticut. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later.